Hey there, welcome back to Manotick StringWorks. Glad to have you here. Please like and subscribe for more videos. Alright, so a client dropped off a guitar the other day. Should be a made in Mexico Strat. And there it is. Love the sunburst color. Brand new guitar. Bought it off Amazon direct. So I'm going to do a string change and set up, check the overall condition. Looks really nice. See what they have in the case here. Here are the strings, some tens, Ernie ball, and the trem arm. Last few Squires and Strats I've worked on have been missing their trem arms. Not sure what people are doing with them. So there it is on the bench. 2021 made in Mexico Fender Player Stratocaster Plus top. So it's in a burst. I think this is the orange burst. Pretty sure it's not the cherry burst, but I could be wrong. Yeah, it looks nice. I'm a big fan of the burst finishes. So we'll check the electronics. The client didn't indicate there were any issues that he found. Let's move the pickup selector. Use a metal object like a screwdriver and tap the pole magnets on the pickups. Everything's working fine. So there you go. 2021 made in Mexico. 75th anniversary, 1946. Fender began. Let's check the neck relief, see where we start at. So I like it between 10 and 12 thousandths at the 7th fret. So if it's scraping the 12,000th feeler gauge, then it's obviously a little lower than that. So try the 10. It's just touching the 10 too, so we might have to tweak the neck. Although we're putting 10s on this guitar, it has 9s right now, so a little extra tension might bow the neck a little more, so might not have to adjust the truss rod at all. I'll check the action at the 1st fret. So between 18 and 22 thousandths is very acceptable. This one seemed to be around 20,000. It's a brand new guitar. I'm not a huge fan of adjusting the nut until the guitar has been played for a while. Unless there was a major issue, but it's pretty well set up from the factory here, so I wouldn't touch this right now. We'll see when we change the strings. Alright, just check the action. So using my feeler gauges, it's somewhere around, it's between 4 and 5/64 right now with the 9s on it, so that's pretty good. You can see there, I think we can just see it's about just under 5/64 on the E string on the bass side. The treble side, I don't show it, but it was a little lower. So we're going to drop this bridge down to the body. So I'm going to tighten up the trem springs. Discuss that with the client, and that's what we're going to do. So I'll take off the back cover. These screws are factory tightened, so I just loosen them a bit with a good old-fashioned screwdriver, and then I use my power driver to remove the rest. A lot faster that way. So there we go, 3 springs, standard setup. So I'll just suck in that trem claw. I just made a little mark with pencil inside just to show where it was originally. It's a guide for me and for later on, someone else down the road. So I did loosen the strings a little bit here, so I didn't show you that, but I loosened them so you can tighten this a little easier. There we go. The client did point out there was some plastic film he didn't quite get at, which was making a noise when using the tone knob, so we'll get rid of that. It was pretty annoying actually. So I'll just use a little X-Acto blade there and carefully cut around the washer. There's a lot of knobs and screws on a Stratocaster pickguard, so when you get them new, just pulling off the film, you don't always get all of the plastic, right? It's a bit of a pain in the butt. You'd have to remove everything, all the screws, all the knobs, to completely get the plastic off. So a lot of people don't. All right, we'll get these strings off. Using the driver here, the power driver. Make short work of loosening the strings for sure. I'm not going to cut these strings, they're pretty new. I'll keep them, tape them up, mark them off as a set of used 9 to 42s. Never know when I need a set to string on a guitar during a setup or a kit build, just as a test. So while the strings are off, we'll clean the frets a little bit. Again, this is a new guitar, so I'm just using the 1000 grit fret eraser just to give it a quick polish. And if there's any grit, and then we'll use the Dunlop 65 oil on the fretboard. This is a POW Ferro fretboard. It's pretty dry. That's soak in for a few seconds. Actually, I was a little surprised at how dirty it was. A lot of dirt came up. So there we go. A little wipey wipe. And I did find they were not quite as bright and shiny as I'd like them, so I just used some steel wool and a protector just to give them a little polish. That seemed to brighten them up a little bit. Yeah, you can see the difference already. Some of the filings off or anything, steel wool. Yeah, that's nice and shiny. So these are 10 to 46s. So I like to stand strats up using my bench vise. It's another set of hands basically. Makes it a little easier. You don't need to do that, of course, if you don't have a vise. You can just hold the guitar up with one hand and fish those strings through. It does get a little hard sometimes through the block, and then try and make sure you get it through the right saddle, right? Or not in between saddles. I've had that happen a lot, of course. It's a little frustrating, especially on the the treble E and the B string, the thin strings like that. Sometimes they have a mind of their own and don't really want to go through the middle of the saddle there. So this is just opposite view. So here are the B and the E string I was talking about. So the B string came through pretty nice, but the E string, of course, was a bit of a struggle. But eventually got it through there. These saddles were flopping around too quite a bit. Do like using the vise though. Just keeps everything from moving around, and I can just concentrate on getting the strings through. There we go. And back on the bench. So I'm just positioning the tuner, so the opening in the tuner peg sort of in line with the nut, where the string comes up through the nut. It just makes it a little easier, I find. So, cut the string 2 or 3 tuners past the tuning peg. Make sure you don't have too many wraps. And just rinse and repeat. I like to sort of just bend up the string a little bit that's poking through so it doesn't scratch me. So once you've done that, you tune up and then stretch those strings out. I'll do that a few times before I really test the intonation and adjust the string action. And at this point, I generally leave the guitar sit, overnight. Once it's got new strings on it, and I'll do a setup the next day, time permitting. So here we are next day, and we'll check the neck relief. So this is with the 10s on here now. It used to have 9s. And I like that. It's just kissing that feeler gauge, a 12 thousandths feeler gauge, so perfect. The 10 it wasn't really feeling the string on it, so it's somewhere between 11 and 12 thousandths, right? So it's perfect. And I'll just look at the string action. Now, the strings, I try and get a string action on a Stratocaster somewhere between 4 and 5/64ths. Again, depending on the guitar. Not every guitar can handle really low actions. But I generally find between 4 and 5 is more than acceptable for most players. Very few players want it, sucked down to 3/64ths or something like that. I don't find you can really play a guitar when the action's so low. You have to be very gentle with it. But that's well within the Fender spec, so there's nothing unusual about this. So I use my gauge, tap and check. It makes a little noise, it's a little higher, so these saddles, I'm lowering them so I didn't have to loosen the string tension. So once they touch the gauge, we're at around 4/64ths. Which is good, it's nice and low. I'll just check each one of the frets, make sure there's no buzzing after lowering the action. Again, once I do the intonation, let it sit, for as long as possible till check it again overnight or the next day. See if excuse me, see if anything's changed. I'll just show you a bit of the intonation here on each of the strings. So using the Peterson Tremolo Plus. You know, there's no magic to the way you do this, right? You just check the open string, check the harmonic at the 12th fret, and then fret the note at the 12th fret. Don't press too hard, you know, just enough pressure to make the note ring, and you'll get a decent reading. You can do this in the playing position, you can do it on the bench, it's up to you. I haven't really found much difference in either way. It's more convenient doing it on the bench like that. So most of the strings were playing sharp, so I had to move the saddles back. So after doing that, I checked the first fret action, and it was nice, you know, just under 22,000. So that's more than acceptable. Again, I would wait until this guitar is broken in a bit, you know, maybe in 6 months, and then revisit lowering the string action at all. So we're getting near the end. We're going to adjust the pickup height. I use 1/8 on the bass side, 3/32 on the treble. Lots of people do that. Again, it's up to you. Every guitar is a little different too, so start with that, and then you can fool around with it yourself, right? Raise or lower. You don't want them too close, because it could affect how the string rings. And you don't want it too far away, because then you're really not going to hear much. So start at these measurements and take it from there. So just to show you at the end here that the trem is flush to the body, and it's really only set up for, you know, going flat, not sharp, so dive bombing, if you will, whatever. Yeah, so it hits the body. If I try and move the trem back, it doesn't move, so that's good. All right, we're all done. Thanks for watching. Enjoy making these videos, so please like and subscribe, and I'll keep posting. All right, have a great day. Stay safe. Stay healthy. See you next time.